YouTube, I could not have been more wrong. I'll be the first to admit, I could not have been further off with my predictions for this EWC land. So, where do we get started? Obviously, the big talk right now is Acorn and Cold, both very, very underperforming. Acorn, 85 something points behind behind 19th place when he's in 20th. Cold and Rapid, you know, both both are very disappointing performances. Nobody really expected them. But moving on further up the leaderboard, looking at Peterbot and Poyo, even them with the underperforming on land, not making it to that match point qualifier until the last game of the tournament, as well as Sky and Scroll. So our winner, obviously, Vico and Malabuka. Congrats, boys. That's 2 land wins this season, with one more coming this September. Globals in Belgium. Obviously, that'll be a battle royale tournament. But how do we want to discuss it? How do we compare this land win to others, given it was the whole different format, different game mode, and a very, very different set of rules? So obviously, if we look at it, we're gonna go. We're looking at this the top 12, yeah, the top 12 made qualifiers for match point. Many of them reached it on the last game of the tournament, but up until that last game, or that last 2 games, there were no other NA teams qualified for match point. That is shocking to say, and it wasn't until game number 12 that Victor V and Kanata became the first team from NA to be able to qualify and win the match point. Obviously, their last game didn't go to plan, finishing in 12th place, but a very impressive tournament from them nonetheless. A very big, big, big development late in the tournament was Muzz and Sphinx with the back-to-back wins, almost coming back, getting up to that 300-point mark after a day of very, very inconsistent placements, including top 19s, top 18s, top 17s. This was a very, very interesting tournament to watch, including, and this, let me tell you guys, this is a big deal in my opinion. We had a Brazil team 2 places off of winning the tournament in game 12. Now, that is a big deal. Why? Because Brazil hasn't won a big land like this before. But another big name I want to mention, Swizzy, Pixie, 2 of the most consistent players there are. Obviously, Swizzy has gotten unlucky in previous land situations where he's had to arrive late or not been able to arrive due to visa issues, which obviously makes travel very difficult, especially when you're not from the European Union and all the tournaments are hosted in Europe. So now, why do we think that NA players aren't qualifying to finals like we think they should? So let's just go through let's just go through the whole leaderboard real quick. Acorn and Bolts, 1 NA team, 2 NA teams, 3 NA teams, 4 NA teams, 5 NA teams, and 6. 6 out of 20 teams were NA, and NA is the second biggest region. So if we compare that to Europe, we're going to have 1, 2, 3. Is Yasin Middle Eastern? I think these guys are, yeah, these guys are EU, 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 EU. EU has, what was that, 8 or 9 out of the 20 teams, obviously giving them a larger chance of qualifying and making that top percentage. But a very, very interesting and disappointing performance, honestly, from Peter and Poyo, only being able to come away with 1 win the whole tournament. Their last few games, they struggled seemingly a lot with, finding where do we want to play? What's the position that's going to help us win? And unfortunately, they were not able to cement that, coming close in game 12 to qualifying, but not able to lock in a win that would get them over that 350-point threshold. And then a very disappointing last game with only 1 elimination and a top 12. Another focus I want to bring to Vico Malabuka. Vico, tournament MVP, obviously. I mean, what a brilliant performance by him. He had 32 eliminations, which is extremely impressive. Oops. All right. Well, that's okay. All right, perfect. So obviously, there's something interesting about it because Pete and Poyo have not had a problem doing damage on LAN, in grand finals, on NA, anything like that, but they have had trouble closing out their games. So obviously their leading damage ratio and damage dealt, but they're nowhere to be found, and they're nowhere to be found in damage received, which is great. And then, we look at time alive and they're nowhere to be seen. That is a very, very big thing for them right now, is being able to place in end games. Obviously, we know Pete and Poyo's fragging ability. It is second to none almost. And they're getting the damage and they're making it to, that threshold right where it's going to start earning placement, and they're struggling to lock it in. So why is that important? Well, with LAN coming up, obviously we're going to get a very big event, a lot of people coming from a lot of different places, and that is going to make it 10 times harder than just a tournament like this. Obviously, the only teams to win twice are Muzz Sphinx, Swizzy Pixie, and Shark Teeny. Peterbot only coming away with one win, Kanata coming away with one win, Nosif and Izzy coming away with one win, and Josh and Yamso coming away with one win. Which is obviously this tournament was built on, if you win games, you're gonna win the tournament, given that it's a match point style tournament. But that is not going to be the format for globals, at least not of now. I don't think they'll change it, but you never know with Fortnite. Obviously, we've seen situations where they change things last second, and a player has to get used to, that whole new style, that whole new action, whether it's, you know, the match point style or the typical style we see, or like we saw at Summit Land where there was qualifiers for the final and there was only a 1-day final. I personally enjoyed the 1-day final, but I think the 12 game format is important for a global final. So obviously looking at kills per match, Sky and Scroll still leading the pack, but they were not able to qualify with the placements. Their placements, unfortunately, did not lead them to a place that's, gonna suffice and, get them from here up to here in terms of being able to get to that, that new threshold of, being able to win the tournament. And they were not able to get that threshold until the last game, where they had a 9 elimination game. Mind you, they did have a second place with 22 eliminations, which I think is the highest in the finals. Very, very impressive. A team that performed great all day, choked really bad all finals after they had made it into that qualifying spot. This is very interesting coming from Shark and Teeny, because they have been the most consistent team on this EWC reload format, and it is very shocking to see them place so well in the qualifiers and do so well at the first couple rounds of LAN and underperform in the finals, even when they were the first team to qualify for that threshold. So obviously their games start off very hot, sixth place, first place, second place, and then they start to choke a little bit. They have 3 games in a row that are very, very not up to their standards, and then they come back strong with another win. And pay attention to the eliminations in these bad games. See, if you notice, they're getting these, 7, 4, 8 kill games, but they're just not getting that top 3 position where you're going to get enough placement points that's going to match the kills, and you're going to be able to boost yourself up fast enough. Again, a very impressive land from the kids. They're both super young. Obviously, Shark's got a great future in the game, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him on the global stage again. Furthermore, past this globals coming September, which we will be watch partying live as soon as, that event starts. We'll watch player room content, all that stuff. It's going to be a very good time. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and click the notification button so you do not miss out on a single video. And be sure to drop a follow on my Twitch, which will be live every day, playing, watching, participating in every event possible. Obviously, guys, I'm not a pro and I don't plan to be a pro, but I think that this kind of content is something that you guys enjoy to watch, first of all, but I also enjoy. So I think we're going to, stick with some Fortnite content, mix in some other games, maybe do some, some IRL just chatting type content sometimes. I think that's important. Obviously, this isn't just me being strictly a Fortnite creator, but as of now, Fortnite is on my mind, and I appreciate you coming along for the ride. Obviously, Vico, very impressive though, and I cannot complain with how he performed in the last game with a beautiful play onto, what was that, Pixie and Swizzy, who unfortunately watching the final game, and I don't know if I can pull it up real quick. Um, let's see here. Open Twitch. Give me 1 second. Let's see if I can.
Bonzi to have been sat on this match of our match point threshold teams, and it's just going to.
So it was early on in this game that it became quite evident that this game was going to be the final game of the tournament. It was very, very evident due to the fact that all the other teams outside of that top 9, which were the only qualified teams, had already died. There was only one team left, TJ, and he was a solo. Tajano plays with Pablo, obviously very good duo there, but they did underperform for their standards in this tournament. This play was absolutely brilliant. Obviously, I do think looking at it, Pixie and Swizzy played high ground, not having sufficient white heals, but that also could be due to delaying, their push into the final zone and seeing if they could get an easy fight onto one of the two duo mates. If you pay attention here, you see Vico is low material, and Swizzy and Pixie did not have a material count problem this whole game. They played it very, very well up to the end game where they stayed on high ground for too long. Vico with the brilliant shockwave play though sends 2 players out into Storm, which I think was just marvelous. Obviously, guys, this was a really, really high IQ play, and it ends up working out, killing Pixie almost instantly, him being at only 15 health maybe. And Swizzy not having much more than that. Swizzy's down to 40 health here, and Vico just has to hit 1 or 2 pump shots, and he dies to Storm. Obviously, Vico is always bringing the energy with his celebrations. He's a really good kid, loves this game, loves grinding, so I can't complain with his win. But it is very, very, very interesting that Swizzy and Pixie played it that way. Now, I'm not saying they played it wrong, but I'm saying for this time being, that play could have cost them the win. But anyway, guys, I was wrong. I wasn't even close. If we go to, let's see, where's the notepad at? I mean, I like bro. I could not have been further wrong. Obviously, Sharktini placed 3rd. Wait, actually, we'll just open it up. Also, filming while live, guys, is just fun. Sharktini, yeah, they placed 3rd. Pete and Poyo, very, very disappointing in my opinion, but obviously it is just EWC, and they do have 1 more land to prove themselves before it turns to trios, which we all think is going to happen, but we haven't had any confirmation. Obviously, a 1st place for Vico and Mally, very, very impressive from them. Acorn and Bolts, very, very interesting tournament here. And honestly, I think this could affect them going into this global finals coming soon. But we won't know until we watch it. But them coming away with that, that major 1 or major 2 win in NA, I figured it would give them the confidence to come here and perform. But obviously, we didn't see that level of performance. They placed last in the final and had a very disappointing run in the tournament. Another thing we need to talk about is how this is going to affect the club points, which I mentioned in yesterday's video, part 1 of this 2-part series. That is unaffected, virtually unaffected, I guess, because Pete, Poyo, and Sky Scroll, who are the 2 biggest competing organizations, Falcons and All Gamers Global, are outside of that, that club point threshold, which is top 8 to start earning those points. So a very, very, very underwhelming performance from both teams. obviously two of the favorites going into this, and they didn't come away with the results people thought they would have. Now, what does that mean for them? I'm not sure if that's going to affect duo strategy or like chemistry between the duo with this underperformance, but that would mark the second poor performance from Sky and Scroll on land and a very slow performance on land for Peter and Poyo this year. But I have no idea. It's easy to speculate. Maybe Peter and Poyo stay together for the future, and maybe they don't. Obviously, we will see if it comes to trios. Maybe they'll add a third, or maybe they'll both pick up new teams like they did in 2025. 2025. Obviously, we'll see and we'll talk about it as soon as we have more information on it, guys. But be sure to click the sub button and we'll be live with more content every day on Twitch, twitch.tv/ExcuseMeSeanM. That's my name. Don't wear it out, obviously. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. And yeah, we do have a vlog dropping tomorrow, so be sure you check that out. And I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to, just chill, enjoy your life. Peace and love, guys. We'll talk to you later.